I'm a 15-year police officer. I started back in 2002. I started with Prince George's County Police Department. I started my career as a patrol officer, running 911 calls. And after 3 years on patrol, I decided to try out for motors, which is a motorcycle cop. And I did that for about 6 years. And during my time as a motor cop, I was asked if I would be interested in going to detective school. So then I took on that challenge. I went through detective school. That took a couple weeks. And then I became a detective, a fugitive detective. Pretty much, we tried to close out arrest warrants that are felonies. For an example, murder, rape, sex offense, crimes that are considered felony in the state of Maryland. Someone FTA, if they don't show up to court for a case, then they would put out an arrest warrant for them. So I did that, and during that time, then I went to work for the gang unit. I did some undercover work for a few years, and then now I'm working. At this time, I'm working with a cold case team, and what we do is any warrant that's outstanding, that's older, an outstanding warrant that's more than 20 years old, we try to open up, revisit that warrant and see if we can get any additional information on that individual, to see if we can bring that person back to the judicial system.
Okay, cool. So I guess that kind of answers my next question. What is your role as an officer? But so we can go on to what does a typical day look like for you?
What was that question? Say it again. What was it?
Well, I was gonna ask what your role is as an officer, but
I can tell you a little bit. I can tell you. I mean, yeah, pretty much. I lead about 6 guys.
Okay.
I'm the senior guy in the team, and we have to deal with staff meetings. Any warrant, any new warrant that a judge signs from the district or a circuit courthouse, some take priority, and if it's a current crime that's a felony that takes priority, then we'll get on that warrant. Sometimes we have to travel. Something comes up to pipe and we have to travel to other states, extradite prisoners back. So day to day, I turn on my computer, my laptop, and I start checking emails, and then I figure out, if I have to if I have a meeting or not, and make sure all my guys are good, make sure everyone's safe, make sure there were no incidents, while I'm off.
Okay, great, thank you. So what are some consequences of distracted driving? Are there both physical and emotional consequences?
Consequences, yes, absolutely. Consequences, I would say fines. A fine can go, it all depends. You can have a fine between a $20 fine to $1,000 fines.
Right.
Just depends, I worry about consequences are jail time, fatalities. Are you texting and driving? Did you strike someone? Did you hit a pedestrian? Vehicle manslaughter because you were texting or you were distracted. So the consequences, I would say, is jail time. You hurt, if you hurt yourself, if you hurt, a pedestrian, another driver, and fines. Change your life.
Right, exactly. Have you ever seen any cases such as distracted driving besides texting and drinking? Do you think of anything like eating or something like along those lines.
Cases that I've responded to, accidents that I have responded
yeah,
to.
or just that maybe some of your
see
coworkers.
Someone on the road putting on their makeup. Yes.
Oh.
Putting on their makeup, distracted. I've seen passengers that are drivers that are distracted with the radio, with kids in the car.
Right.
And they're looking, back instead of paying attention to the road. But what I see the most is cell phones.
Cell phones, okay.
Cell phones.
Right. I feel like that's very prominent more these days than like drinking and
driving.
Cell phones.
Yes, cell phones, absolutely. And I believe that we see it a lot because this day and age, our life is on our cell phones.
Right.
Think about it. Everything's on the cell phone. A cell phone it's like a walk. I mean, it's like your laptop. I mean, it's your cell phone. It's your entire business. Your life is on your cell phone. So that's why it's more prominent texting and driving than drinking and driving.
Right.
Absolutely.
So do you see like mostly college students or young adults are the ones that are distracted driving, or do you see like a variety of people doing this?
All ages.
Okay.
All ages. Yeah, all ages. Actually, you don't see elderly.
Right.
You don't really see elderly drivers. I think they have enough problems trying to focus on the road. You see it a lot in teenagers, middle-aged group, and it doesn't matter the male, female, all ages. Not so much with the teenagers. I believe you see it more with middle-aged group drivers because they feel that they're comfortable. They feel more comfortable behind the wheel.
Right.
So they feel that they can actually get away with texting and driving more than when you first get your license and you're still focused on the road and, driving is new to you.
Exactly. So do you see like any trends in the distracted driving incidents that you've seen? Or like you've heard about or from your experiences?
Trends? I would say I haven't done traffic in a while, so I'm not a traffic cop anymore. But the trends that you see a lot, I think it's more like nighttime. You see more texting, and the trend, you start to see more accidents. Distracted drivers, you start to see more accidents at night. That's a trend I'm getting to at night than you do during the day.
Okay, great. Also, just as a follow-up question, how do you like catch these people who are practicing unsafe driving?
Well, when you work for the traffic unit, like some departments, they have a unit called the traffic unit. See it a lot with state police. State police, their main thing is traffic. So they'll, sometimes they'll have additional cops out, and they will do surveillance in certain busy areas, traffic areas, busy. They also go off the national the national report that shows, the state highway report that shows where most accidents, distracted driver have occurred. Like, for an example, if there's an area in Montgomery County where we get reports that, there's a lot of distracted driver accidents in that area or citations, then sometimes the traffic unit will go out in that area, kind of focus on that area, and look for drivers that are actually, texting and driving, or, like a seatbelt violation, and so forth.
Okay.
Excuse me, let me get a bit of water.
Okay, sure.
All right, sorry, I'm back.
Okay.
I was in a meeting all morning. I've been talking all day.
No worries. So have you seen people or heard of instances where people have been on their phones while crossing the street, and getting in accidents, or like even I've heard of like bird scooters. I've heard those have caused some accidents when you're trying to text and ride scooter.
There's actually been, it's funny. I've seen actually quite a few cases that I've actually responded to back up other officers because I've been in the area. And actually, as recent as I think like about a month ago,
Mm-hmm.
there was a pedestrian that was struck. He was actually riding his he's a bicyclist. He was riding his bike, and he was actually struck by the driver that was texting.
Mm.
And I mean, this is about a month ago. I responded to that call to back up the officer. And scooters, yes, you're starting to see that a lot with DC. It's a huge problem in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale. It's a huge problem. We got to report that. It's a huge problem that they're having with distracted drivers striking the scooters in Fort Lauderdale, because you're not in an area where there's heavy on operating scooters, and they're quiet.
Right. Do you know if this issue with the scooters like happens in DC too? Because there's like more and more of those like bird.
It does. It's
scooters.
happening in DC.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
In DC as well. I mean, it's just one additional thing you have to worry about now when you're out here driving.
Mm-hmm.
It's and again, they're quiet vehicles, and they are operating next to the cars.
Right.
So.
Okay. Can you recall any like distracted driving collisions that you've been on the scene of that you can like recall and talk about a little bit?
Yeah. About 4 years ago, I responded to a call that mom was driving. She had her infant in the back seat, and the infant was crying, and she actually turned around while driving. She was going about 55 from the report that we got. She was going about 55, 60 miles an hour, and she turned around to attend to the child in the back, and she actually crashed against a telephone pole.
Oh wow!
And she had another. It was her friend, which was a passenger, and the child in the back. And mom and the child, they both passed away. They died. It was a fatal accident. The passenger lived, but the driver and her baby died. It was a pretty sad call to go to. And it happened because she was distracted.
Right.
It takes 10 seconds to pull over somewhere safe, or even a minute, whatever the case is. But it doesn't take a long time to find a safe area where you could pull into, and take care of whatever you need to take care of, whether it's a cell phone, whether it's a text message, take care of a phone call, a child in the back. I mean, it takes a minute to do that, instead of trying to handle the situation while driving. And again, she lost control, and she ran to a telephone pole.
Wow, that's really
took
bad.
her life and took her child's life.
Okay.
Yeah, all because the child was crying. He dropped, and we got the information through from the passenger that was in the vehicle, and the passenger was going to help her with the child, and she said, "No, I got it. I'll take care of it." It's just the baby. He spit out his pacifier. So mom turned around to put the pacifier back in the baby's mouth, and she took her life and her child's life.
Oh wow, that's terrible.
Yeah.
So, what does maybe the police department do to educate people about distracted driving?
Okay. We have programs that we provide. And again, every state's different. Counties are different. but there are programs out here that they have it in high schools, where they have school research officers that they provide school classes for classes for students that are juniors and seniors, and to educate them about safe driving. You actually see that a lot with the fire department.
Okay.
They usually have the fire department. They go out to the high schools and educate young kids about safe driving.
Do you know some of the tactics in like these workshops that they enforce to practice safe driving?
That they enforce, like that we enforce as officers, or the students.
That these like programs enforce, like some ways that they like motivate students to not participate in distracted driving.
I think between talking about how many fatalities we have a year with young kids driving, and I think they go over numbers and they probably show videos and so forth, but I don't exactly know the programs that they have. I'm sorry.
No worries. And do you think that like parents or even peers have a bad influence on these young drivers? Like, do you think
I think some do, actually.
Right.
I do, because some parents can't drive. So
right.
So they think they can't, and I think some parents, instead of calming the child down,
right,
they probably make them nervous. If you have a parent that is a nervous driver, and you're a first time driver, and you have your parent, for an example, that's a nervous driver, I would think, instead of that parent helping you, she's probably going to make you nervous sitting next to you.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yes.
But I think we try as parents to educate our kids, and so they drive safe, and
Right. Let's see. A question, or what is a typical offense for those caught for distracted driving? I guess it varies, but
it varies.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think a typical offense. I'm sorry, give me a minute here.
Okay, no worries.
Typical offense, I mean, it varies. The first offense, usually you're looking at a fine. First offense is usually a fine of like $83.
Okay.
$80
Okay.
The average first offense, and this is just traffic. A small fender bender. You get into an accident. You're distracted on your phone. Small fender bender, and that's not including when you're a co-pay with the insurance company and so forth. That's that. I guess it depends on the level of the accident. Is it a fatality? Did you hurt someone? If it's a regular fender bender, the first offense you're looking at about, I would say, between $80 to $100.
Okay.
Second offense, between $140 to $160, and then so forth.
Okay.
And then if they start to see that you're getting multiple, accidents in a year, then you're looking at you must appear in court. You have to go to court now and testify in front of a judge.
Right. Okay.
Motor vehicle court. You have to deal with motor vehicle. Take your license away. Suspend your license.
Right. Do you think that hands-free devices are safe, or do you think that they're just as distracting?
I think they're safer. I don't think they're safe. I think the safest thing is just drive and stay off your phone, period.
Right.
Because even there has been accidents where drivers have had a Bluetooth and their device, and they get into an accident because they get so deep into whatever the conversation that they're having on the phone that they don't pay attention to the road, and they get into accidents. So it is safer, but it's not safe.
Right.
The safest thing is stay off your phone. Focus on the road.
Right. And then I'm just kind of jumping back to texting and drinking, or texting versus drinking. Do you think that texting is more dangerous than drinking and driving, or vice versa?
I'm gonna go with drinking and driving.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with drinking and driving. And the reason I say that is I've seen a lot more, at least in my time, I've seen a lot more fatalities
Mm-hmm.
with drunk drivers than with drivers texting. I've seen a lot of more fatalities, again, drunk driving.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions I have.
Okay.
Thank you so much for doing this and taking the time out of your day.
In 2019, recently got a report, actually, so far in 2019,
Okay.
there's been issued over 3,000 citations in 2019 of distracted drivers texting and driving. Over 3,000 citations so far this year.
Oh, wow. 3, is that just in Montgomery County?
That's in the state of Maryland.
Oh, okay.
Over 3,000. And warnings, about 3,500 so far.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
It is a problem.
Yes, I agree.
It's a problem.
Okay, well, that was really great. Thank you so much for doing this.
I helped.
You did a lot. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you later.
Bye.